evening. Who gives you the winning Powerball ticket and then snatches it away from you with about 6 to 7 weeks left to go? Not us. We are the heroes in this conversation for once. But a certain group of players paid by Liverpool Football Club PLC are certainly the chaps you want to talk to if you want that kind of crushing disappointment in your life. Joined as always by Brian and Trevor. I really want to say how are you in a genuine fashion, but I don't think any of us are in a good spot. But for the sake of tradition, how are you, Brian?
Oh, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Trevor, how are you? Apart from slowly drinking your troubles away.
Delightful, given the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's not much to talk about tonight, other than we'll talk about all of the titles for tonight's topics are taken from the doors. This is the end, or is it? It's certainly the end of our quadruple season for sure, and even a treble. How do we light the fire under the rest of these players for the rest of the season? And then will we be looking at a Blue Sunday when we take on Fulham this weekend? But let's start, obviously, with the moment of the moment, to be very unprosaic. Or poetic, rather, ultra prosaic. 1-0 win. I mean, it's a Pyrrhic victory, really. We get a 1-0 win in the two-legged tie that we lost horrendously the week before. But Brian, we didn't look like turning it around at all, apart from up till the penalty, really, did we?
No, after 7th minute, it was lights out, shut down, didn't do anything. We basically, we had what Mo Coulthard had one opportunity on there that just wound up Coulthard chipping over top of the keeper going out. I mean, it was just so many things I could say wrong. I mean, we came there and make subs in the 60th minute, and they turned into doing sideways and backwards passes. I mean, so it just seemed like there was no ambition. I mean, it seemed like that, and seeing Klopp sit down toward the end right there kind of ended it for me in a way. I was about to cut it off, but I paid myself through it because that's kind of what we do. We like torture.
Trevor, just before we get to your question, Alan wants to know, how is your garden looking?
I just got the chemicals put down.
There you go.
Nothing indoors, just outdoors.
That explains
everything. I could use some chemicals right now, so I'm just going to.
Yeah, I think we all could. But Trevor, it was your title there says you're in the business of misery, but we have been in the business of misery since after the Carabao Cup final, as far as I'm concerned. I remember distinctly expressing the idea that this might be the end of the season for us in terms of trophies, because we had a lot of players who hadn't won one before. And it's often the case that when players win their first trophy like that, especially the League Cup, their season seems to tank afterwards. And it seems to be coming true. It's just a confluence of factors like Klopp leaving, uncertainty about a new boss, players aging. Is it just a perfect storm of crapness, or did we just run out of ideas? Did Klopp even run out of ideas at this point?
It's hard to pinpoint where kind of everything went wrong, but this game, yeah, the general consensus with this how shit this past month has been is just a consistent lack of urgency. And when in the Discord, when the penalty went in, I put the gif of Steven Gerrard doing the thing, that the old getting the crowd pumped up from the final against AC Milan, and just everything went flat. There was just nothing. They were playing like a team that were winning a game 1-0. It's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna win. This is great. Not having any realization that there was a 3-0 deficit from the first leg that they had put themselves in. And the second half, and I'm sure we're going to get to everything at some point, my Lord, did those subs do absolutely nothing. And the one that pains me the most is because Harvey is a guy that we've all kind of like lauded as this like super sub lately, and having Jota back as that guy off the bench coming in and really make an impact. What was done? That's the thing that pains me the most, is that there wasn't even that glimmer of hope. And the only real opportunity that came from Nunez, and he hit straight the keeper, who fell on it and took a nice mid-match nap for about a minute and a half and didn't get carded for it, which is, always fantastic refereeing. But regardless of that, we kind of get what we deserve with this tournament. And it's on to try to somehow voodoo curse City into giving us a shot at the league at this point.
Brian, in terms of the players, the sense of urgency has been missing for a while, and I think we pointed out in either this show or one of the pre or post matches, our shots on target has steadily been trending downwards. We're just not as creative as we seem to. Definitely not as creative when we had Mane and Firmino, and it feels almost like, with hindsight, that we were grinding wins for so long this season to get over the line, which was the story for a while, of going down a goal and then clawing back to win, by 1 or 2 goals in the second half. But there was such a lack of movement and such a lack of creativity and initiative with this team. Is there some measure of blame to be put on the coach and staff? Not because it would be recency bias would allow us to maybe look at Klopp and say he's messed it up, and it would be grossly unfair to do that. But there was clearly something going on with the tactics of the team. Atalanta had us sussed out by the middle of the second half, by the middle of the first half. Pardon me. They knew exactly what we were doing because we didn't do an awful lot. We didn't move. We didn't cause them any problems. They were a team that man-marked. That's what we talked about prior to the first leg. And all we had to do was move them around and create space. And, in the spirit of that, we decided, hey, that would just make them tired and unhappy. Let's just stand where we are and let the ball do all the work. Is there some measure of blame to be put on the coach and staff for not changing something to make their plan less robust and ours maybe not sticking to our normal plan, but something a little bit more challenging for them to deal with?
Well, let me start with by one. I didn't really like the midfield. I understand right there how we wanted to go there and have that we wanted to go with our strongest midfield. I don't think that that Curtis Jones honestly went there as part of our strongest midfield at the moment. I thought that Macka playing Macka out of position that he's been good at for like the past couple months didn't help out. Also, did like that Gapco came through was in the middle right there where we actually saw him play well in the last match on the left, and I mean where we should have probably should either came through went for Jota or somebody or even Nunez back again right there in the middle. But I mean, as far as like the way the coaching goes, I've been saying for a while, our first 15 minutes of most of our matches, we are basically killing ourselves. I mean, so that has to come down to warm-ups, something like that happening in warm-ups where we're coming unprepared. I don't know what it is. I mean, if you want to go back on tactics or something like that, you have to go on Pep because Pep's the person who does most of the coaching part of this. I mean, Klopp is the overall manager, but Pep does all this stuff. So who? I don't know. I mean, I'm at a loss right now because I just feel like I said earlier, right there, we came there brought in attacking subs at 65 minutes, and we did nothing with those attacking subs. I mean, we did absolutely zero with them. There was no initiative. I saw one run that came up to the front that was there that looked like it was positive. After that, we just went back, and I was watching. There was 30 passes. I just saw a stat: 30 passes between Van Dijk and Alisson in that match. 30 passes. Come on, really? That just kind of tells you right there, about where we were at. I mean, I understand we had to go with go and try counterattacking, but that's not the way you counterattack. We were hoofing the ball up. We were playing hoofball. There's so many complaints I have right there. I don't want to be sound like I'm like completely negative about
Big
it.
Sam, next manager confirmed.
I mean, but I really wanted Harvey Elliott to start this match. I really thought that we had the energy. We could have got a lot more energy out of him, and with a lot more creativity. I don't see the creativity out of Jones at the moment. I mean, I'm just sorry. I mean, I thought that Jones was great until he got the injury, and then after that, it's like the past couple matches, I see like Curtis Jones, like from 3 seasons ago, almost sometimes right there, and I just don't see it. I mean, I'm pretty disappointed at the moment. I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like I'm completely negative, but I'm pretty fucking negative right now.
Trevor, I can see the accusations of playing hoofball, and I can see the jokes like about Sam Allardyce, but given how little creativity we had and how non-existent the movement was up front, it almost seems like that would have been our best plan of attack, because surely launching it forward, especially when Nunes was on the field, launching it forward was a lot better than playing it back to the defenders, because all we did was pass between the left back position and the right back position through the central defenders into the midfield, who passed it back to them. It was like watching Rodgers at his worst all over again. Sometimes do you think we just have to do that? You just have to play the agricultural soccer to get the ball in the area where, like, because we really looked like we were 3-1 up on aggregate, and we were just seeing out the game. The Atalanta players must have been delighted with this, that they didn't have to do any work. So is there a case to be made that we maybe should have done more of that, given how poor the actual movement of the attackers was?
I don't know. And to address Jamie's comment, that's the underlying thing, that you have to give credit to what Atalanta did in the first leg in our house to put themselves in that position where they didn't have to kind of go full bore to see things out. Because there was times where they seemed out of sorts, and I think the pressure of dealing with their home crowd being as voracious as they were, when they gave up that first goal, those fans were ready to like murder that back line. They were just, and granted, you have to like kind of put things into perspective of like you're trying to just read body language and stuff, but they were just pissed off, and you could almost see it in the people that they kept showing on screen. They're like, oh no, this is the start of us falling apart. And you could really see that if there was any time to really pounce on them, it was then. And the fact that there was no capitalization on that spoke volumes about just how the team attacked that game. There was, and I'm just going to beat this dead horse. I don't know what implement I'm using to beat it, but we're gonna just go there the entire night. Sorry, Mr. Ed, you're getting hit with whatever I got in striking distance.
Wilbur,
I'm gonna hit you with Wilbur, whatever. It doesn't matter. But there was no point watching, because I listened to the first 40 minutes and then watched on from there. And at no point did I feel any confidence that we were going to make up those second 2 goals. And it wasn't that like Atlanta was I keep saying I got basketball on the brain, but whatever. Atalanta was they weren't just compact or anything, or really doing enough to kind of frustrate us to the point. We kind of just shot ourselves in the foot. There was never a point where I'm like, oh, they're really doing this thing tactically to kind of throw us off. They were running around like time. Macka, a guy for everything that he did great in the first leg, looked like a child lost in a mall this game. Scamacca, every time the ball came to him, he didn't know what to do with it. The two chances that he had that he buried in the first thing, he put into fucking outer space this game. They didn't really put any sort of pressure on us to be like, okay, there's a chance that we may have to go get 4 or anything like that. It was just a casual run out for them after the penalty. And you could just see there was a couple times where like, is this just how this game's going to go? We're not going to have to go into that second gear at all. And it's something that Liverpool has always been like, where you always just you want the effort to be there more than anything. And you're like, if you're going to go out, you're going to go out on your sword. And I just didn't feel that this team went out on their sword today.
Brian, speaking of players, or at least players that make up our team who didn't go out on their sword, Mo Salah just looked like the not Mo Salah today, and he has for a while. I think we spoke before with Sir Z. He just looks like a player who knows where he's going to be next season. It's not going to be Anfield. And a player who's also still physically and mentally recovering from his injuries, and a player who's probably looked at his age and they say, I've got maybe one more big move in me before it's all done and dusted. You need your big players to perform on the big stage when the chips are down. And Salah, apart from the penalty, which again was a gift, he really let us down today as a fan base, didn't he?
I mean, this isn't like a new topic, like you said right there. I mean, though you see over the past. I mean, we haven't really seen Mo. I mean, honestly, right there. I mean, Mo looked really distant. Mo looked distant today. He looked like he was looking out. Shadow himself, and Keith said before.
Yeah,
Mo's taking Brian's internet signal with him.
Yeah, Elon's the strikes again. But yeah, I mean, Mo. I mean,
some of those runs it felt like he was buffering.
Yeah. I mean, but even looking right there, I mean, with like Mo right there, I said like a couple of times, Mo's become passive. Saw Mo do. I didn't see that. I mean, I don't see it. I think we just, it's.
Is it possible, Trevor, that the injury has affected Mo a lot more than anybody is letting on? Because he's not running as fast as he used to. He's not trying to outpace anybody, which suggests to me that he can't, and he knows he can't. That the speed is gone, which would explain the rushness of that shot. Like a younger Mo would have taken a split second to take that shot and measure it and place it over the keeper. But this looked like a player who knew there was a defender on his heels and he had to do something quickly before he lost the ball. Am I way off base with that, or would that be something you would agree with?
No, it is. Yeah, it's something that you kind of put in the back of your mind, because you look at it in the moment and you're going, okay, there had to be something where either the ball took just like a slight bobble on him and he just felt like he needed to get rid of it. But if you go back and you look at it with kind of just less rose-tinted glasses, there's a lot of it where, yeah, he has lost that bit of pace. And I don't want to chalk it all up to the injury, and I don't want to chalk it up to what Alan's saying with him losing interest, even though I think he is a guy that is on his way out in his head, maybe, which just, yeah, feels 56 kinds of shitty. But there's something with Mo that this game, every single time you've seen him subbed off at the mark that he got subbed off today, you see him pissed off. You see him just not willing to do it without him putting his 2 cents in. He seemed resigned to the fact that he was getting taken off today. He didn't jog off the pitch. He just slowly walked. He was taking his wrist tape off. He barely even acknowledged Klopp, and he went to the bench and just kind of hung out. There was just the couple times that I saw them pan to him, he looked as if he just was done, didn't want to be there. And it's sad. It makes me just, because for everything that he's done for this club, for it to be this point, and I don't know where the breaking point was. I don't know if secretly he wanted to get this move to the Saudi Pro League, and the fact that we rebuffed their attempts kind of put him in a headspace where that's the only logical thing I can think of, because an injury for your national team, that's not really something that I think you would hold against the team. Or if it's something where Klopp's announcement, Mo maybe felt betrayed by it, because I don't know if he maybe didn't hear it beforehand. If that's a deeper communication issue that is like an internal matter and not anything that any of us should be speaking about. But yeah, I think he's a guy that's just over it at this point. And as painful as that is to say, with what we have on the line for the next month and a half, to have our most talismanic goal scorer not really giving a solitary shit is not the best booster going into these matches, especially coming into the weekend.
It's almost like when you say about that communication breakdown, that he finds out months later that Klopp is leaving at the end of the season. Goes, oh, what? No, I didn't hear. I was over there doing the thing. I didn't hear that at all. And then he thinks
carrier
everybody
pigeon
has
just showed up.
Carrier pigeon just showed up today. Just looking at the stats, and I can't believe this. So I'm going to have to check this, Brian, a few times. It seems like we only had one corner in the entire game. We kept a clean sheet, so we could fairly say that the keeper and the keeper and the back four did their jobs. So is today's collapse of our ambitions, can we put that almost squarely on the attack?
We didn't really control the midfield either. I mean, there's a couple of different things that you can't really squarely put it on the attack right there. I do think that I don't want to bash on Gapco right there, but I mean, it seemed like he was kind of disinterested. I mean, Stephen Mann can sit on there. McManaman sit on there that he looked disinterested in the match. I mean, so and it's something that we've talked about before about him if matches getting lost and disinterested. I mean, so you could say, yeah, there's some attacking issues right there too, but also we didn't control the midfield. I mean, remember, goals come from the back and from the midfield, and to the start, we just started attack. We came there, we played like a poor man's Barcelona at points right there. I mean, where we just batted the ball back and forth, came there, put it in the back, put it in the side, put it in the side. All the complaints that we made about Jordan Henderson, that you heard people make about Jordan Henderson, that happened today. That was kind of what we saw today. I mean, was this whole sideways passing thing right there. But I mean, again, back to like I know I got interrupted with Mo, but I guess I'll just second Trevor right there. He's just disinterested right there. I think he's done. I think I think it could also be the whole thing that maybe he planned on staying here, and then Klopp came there at the time, Klopp saying, I'm leaving right there, and may have just caused his whole squad to actually right there is, guess what? We're done. We're over with. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, it's again, yeah, it's a team sport right there. I can't really point fingers at everybody, because I think that there was nobody out there that stood out in that entire squad today. Nobody stood out and was like saying, oh, that guy was great. I mean, we could have said like that, like other matches. but there was nobody that was really great in this match. There wasn't. They were all flat toward the end.
Let's kind of take that as a jumping off point because I don't want to. Let's not dwell on the misery of the match, but let's talk a little bit positively about the future. A new man coming in. I would say, or a new woman, but we haven't progressed soccer coaching to that kind of level of intelligence and progression. But a new manager coming in, and I will nail my colours to the mast. If I was Michael Edwards and if I was all that new swanky director of soccer and all that kind of hullabaloo, if I was part of that crowd. Tell me, Trevor, that I'm completely insane. Mo Salah, take the first high bid we can get. He's done. Virgil van Dijk, we give him one more season, and then we're already looking to replace him. Alisson, we have to keep, but I would also go out my way to try and persuade Kelleher to stay on as the number 2. Because I think we're going to have to buy him back once Alisson decides he's gone. I think he would be the player where I'll be going, you know what? We had that player. Why do we have to pay 75 million for him now? I also think Diaz, I would take the first bid for. Kanate, I would take the first bid for. And I would also take the first bid for Nunes and then replace them with players who can do the job consistently. Am I way off base, or is this just the pain of an overall loss, or have these players shown enough for you that we should bequeath them to the next man?
All right, we'll weave through this magical hiking trail of.
Oh, sorry, Gakpo as well. I'd get rid of Gakpo too.
All right, so Mo, we'll fire off that one. I think he's gonna force his way out. I don't foresee him being at this club next year, and it's not something where I'm sitting here going rah rah, get him on the first train out of here, because despite everything that is seemingly going down, I think there could be a reinvigoration of Mo. I think a new manager coming in be like, hey, how do you want to line things up? We know how important you are and what's the best way we can utilize you at this stage of your career, so on and so forth. I think could really just like massage his ego to the point where we're working well there. But I don't necessarily see that happening. I think he's going to force his way out. For the rest of the frontline departures, Diaz is, I think he's a guy that is going to have his head turned. There's so much, and this is a word that I just find myself.
To be fair, if he turns his head, he's still not going to do anything anyway, because that's what happens with his feet.
and it's something that I see. I use the word and I see it far too often. Industry, a guy that is just. There's a lot of times where you're like, okay, he runs. But if there's no end product, you're basically just fucking Luis Mendoza from the Mighty Ducks before he learns how to stop. You just, okay, you run to the end line. If you can't put a cross in or you don't want to take a shot, what fucking good are you? Great, you run and you track back and you do all this, that, and the other thing. If nothing comes of it, and you are just like one of those things just going back and forth, if you're just a trolley down the left-hand side, there's no point. So I say that he should go, but I think somebody's gonna like just really try to come in for him and be like, oh yeah, we can fix him. You're like, all right,
we have the technology.
You're but they're also that like girl going into a bar going like, oh, this guy, he's just like, he's got 2 divorces and he's just this really broken person, but I can fix him. That's going to be somebody coming in for Luis Diaz. They're like, well, we can see this guy that there's lots of talent there, but can't really do anything with it. It's not necessarily problematic, but it's just like, do I really want to take this risk? But either way, Nunez is a guy that, and as much as it bucks our reputation here on Thursday, I think he's a guy that I want to see what he can do in a new system. I want to see what a new manager, what their philosophy would do to get the most out of Nunez, and give him till January. Be like, hey, you got the winter months to show out. And if whoever comes in and goes, all right, if you can't figure out how to utilize this guy in this amount of time, I don't mean it has to be like something where like he's immediately scoring 15 goals. But if there's something where you can see the progress made and there's proper utilization of him, yes, he still has to finish, but there's it's a big eye test thing more than anything. You kind of just see what you see and make your own assertions of what is going on with him. I know that's very nebulous, but whatever. I think he deserves to come on to the next reign. Allison, I don't want him gone under any circumstances. Kelleher,
I don't want him gone.
No.
Yeah, he's just old.
No, but like Kelleher is a guy that I want him to stay the second, but I think somebody is going to be desperate and come in with a stupid Godfather offer he can't refuse type deal. Same with, I think, with the amount of departures that are going to be from the big teams in Spain, I think somebody's going to come in with a similar offer for Virgil. And if it is, I say north of 50 million, they'll probably take it. As much as that hurts my soul to see him go in that fashion, FSG and kind of their faith in this new regime will probably do it. Anybody else at that point, Konate, there's just,
he's either a hand grenade or he's the world's best defender, but he's always injured as well. That's what I'm thinking.
That's the thing that kills me is what would you even get for him right now with his track record?
Half a Snickers.
Oh man, can we upgrade it to
not even half of a full size Snickers, half of a 2 to go Snickers, and half of one of them.
I mean, he's sharing recipes with Tiago right now, so that's how bad it is.
Oh man, but yeah, there's. I don't think there's much in the way of untouchables outside of maybe Trent and Jota. I think Trent and Jota are the two guys that unless somebody came in with like 200 million, and even that's never going to happen. So I'm just speaking in fantasy world. Those are the two guys because I want to see what Jota can do in a new system, healthy, and have Trent kind of be what he can be in something else other than a 4-3-3.
Brian, I'll pass that question on to you. If there's any players that you disagree with or would add to that list, but I also want to ask you as well, and we'll have Trevor on about this as well after you. How can we light the fire under these players for the rest of the season? Because there is still a big prize at stake, and they have to want it. Forget about the tactics and all that. They don't want it. We're not going to be able to do anything. So, first point is any players you want to take off that list or add to it, and then how do we light the fire under the asses of these players so that it's not a complete embarrassment of a league campaign?
Okay. So Okay, so Nunez, I'd keep Nunez. I think that Nunez in the right system will actually work. I think if you put 2 attackers right directly behind him, I think that you see a different type of Nunez.
Just let me just ask, and I meant to say just for Trevor's, is that going to make him finish any better?
I mean, I think we just have to have the right person work with him to finish it. I mean, he's 24, yeah, he's still fairly young for a striker. I mean, but I think that there's what he does on the ball, off the ball. I know we're talking about his main goal is a number 9 right there's a score, but all the other things that he does right there off the ball. I mean, look, Haaland. If I had to take him or Haaland, I'd take him over Haaland. I mean, I'm sorry, this is the way I feel about it. I think that Haaland right there has to have the perfect opportunity right there, the perfect service, perfect everything. And I think that Nunez right there overall is a better footballer than Haaland.
I would agree with you, but let me throw this spanner in your works, and I apologize to your testicles for now.
Oh no.
Here's my question: if we could get money for Nunez, is there not a possibility that there's a player with the work rate and with all those talents that Nunez has, but can actually finish as well, that we maybe could get instead?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, there's people out there. I mean, with it, I mean, it's just goes there. Are we willing to spend the money right there? I mean, you hear the grandiose of a 500 million war chest that you always hear on all the news and stuff like that. Is that even really a fucking thing? I mean,
I want to see the actual war chest. I don't even care what money's in it. They always seem to have a war chest.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, so like Al was saying right there, a 3-5-2. Yeah, I mean, I think a 3-5-2 would be a great start for us. But in that case right there, Konate, I'm sorry, the inconsistency right there of being healthy right there. I mean, he's a young defender. I mean, he's got a great reputation behind him, but I mean, he's never on the pitch. I mean, so right there, I mean, I'd replace him with an Inacio or somebody like that who has a great injury record. I mean, I think that I'd give Gapco another shot with another manager and see how he reacts with it in a different, little bit more of a central attacking position. One player I'd say right there on there that I would probably be tempted. I'd be tempted by Curtis Jones. I honestly think that would be tempted because I think that if we get to a point where we're going to have midfields. A midfield right there that's going to consist of mainly of two holding midfielders. It's going to be hard right there to keep Curtis Jones right there happy. I think so. Yeah. Other than that, right there, I mean, you can't sell Macka, you can't sell Endo at the moment, unless you're going to replace it for Endo. I would go through with Kelleher. I put Kelleher on a loan on a long-term loan till Allison's ready to go, and that way we can go there and make sure that we go there and get him out in like Spain or get him another experience with another Premiership side. That way we keep a hold of it, because I mean we've got a lot of years to go with Kelleher, and I think that we see that that the promise that he has. So yeah, so I would get rid of him, but Verge, the right big K for Verge. Probably have to move on Verge. I think that you have to look at Robertson's the same thing. I'd have to look at Robbo right there and see, at 31, I mean, you're on the wrong side of 29 right there, as many people say right there. So, I mean, those are about the only people I can really think of that I'd have to honestly say I'd be ready to move.
And
Diaz.
We definitely keep that in. We have Bojacic coming back. I'm going to put money on it that Bojacic is going to be another Samet Yessel, and all promise. And unfortunately for the lad, due to injuries, no outcome. I don't think we'll ever see the best of Bojacic at this level anyway. Definitely Keith Bailey. I think he's a wonderful player. He just needs to get rid of those frosted tips. But
hey, if that provides him his power, go full in sync. Get them spiked up.
There you go. Yeah, we got the whole thing.
Turn them into dreadlocks. I don't give a shit.
Suzy says we're already losing Thiago and Matip. Is that a loss?
Thiago who?
Who?
Yeah.
Who? I mean, Matip was a loss today. He did the knee in, but We're definitely not losing those two in terms of players that can help us. Would not sell VVD, says Zee. We have no leaders left. I didn't see any
I
leaders on the field
disagree.
today.
Disagree. I think
I didn't see any leaders today.
I think McAllister is a perfect leader.
I think he has definitely has the potential. If he is the one casting the shadow, is what I would say.
And my thought process behind all of this is, it's whether or not you would take like a bid. There's going to be a hierarchy. There's things where, like, oh, if this guy goes and you have something lined up, I'm not saying mass exodus of like 9 players, because FSG is never going to kind of do that.
Oh yeah,
in and out of that magnitude. There's no shot of sending 9 people out and getting 9 comparable players back. There's no chance of that. But it's something where, like, my biggest thing is I think Mo is gone, and you got to kind of reinvest that money. But where your second sale is kind of maybe where you put a lot of that into, because anybody that's coming in to replace Mo, and if your thing is, okay, I'm going to go sell Diaz too, and then Gakpo takes his spot on the left, and like, okay, now we're letting him kind of cook in the place that he's always said is his best position. And you're like, okay, now that's Gakpo's spot, now that Diaz is gone, and all right, now you're focusing on replacing on the right and shoring up. You got to go get another center back, and at that point, if you find a guy that could be that next kind of, because I agree that McAllister, if Virgil leaves, that's your next captain right there, and then if Virgil gets sold, and the money that you're using from Mo's sale to Saudi is getting redistributed there because Gakpo is filling in the gap that Diaz left, you can kind of piece it together, not necessarily in the same vein of the guys that are leaving, but you can at least do enough where you're not completely just raising the squad and then trying to piece it back together with spare parts.
Now, before we sell everybody and start Thursday night, ASTV Liverpool version 2.0, we do have to do this game here with these guys. So, Brian, given the devastation of last week, the Crystal Palace game, and now getting knocked out tonight by Atalanta in the Europa League, if you're Jurgen Klopp, how do you approach this game, especially given the temperament you seem to have at the end of the Atalanta game? What are you going to do to get yourself motivated, let alone the players, against a very good Fulham team?
I mean, your motivation right there should be that you're still technically in the title in the title picture. That should be your your biggest motivation. That that you have a City squad that basically got took down to the ringers right there, and got knocked out on pins. You also have, if you throw in there, you also have an Arsenal side right there who did an Arsenal, and he came there, went to the point right there, and got knocked out. So I mean, we still have stuff to play for. I mean, is it kind of far out of our reach? Sure. I mean, it could, but anything happens in this game. We've all seen weird shit happen. I mean, we came there, we blew leads in the league right there, and and lost the league. We've seen Manchester United get pipped by City on the last minute. I mean, that kind of shit like that. But you have to go out there, and that should be your biggest motivation. My big concern right there is that people watch these matches, and like, say for instance right there, if you see like Harry's, we're gonna go against Harry right there, and Harry's gonna attack the hell out of us right there. I mean, it's a prove yourself, prove that I should have been here type of moment right there. So you got lots of problems with too, but I think that it goes back to that first 15 minutes. how are we going to set ourselves up for the first 15 minutes? Are we going to be on back foot again and then have to claw our way back through a match? If we can go there and go off the match right there and play, I think we have stuff to work with. But again, it goes back to whether we can what we can do in the first 15 minutes. I mean, I think that these guys need to go there. These guys need to have a lot to go there and pay back themselves and the supporters right now. I mean, with all this talk of a quad that that about, as I said, out with the whimper right there, can't have that. You can't just go out. You just can't go out like this. I mean, it's disheartening right there. These guys are professionals. They have to come in and be a professional.
Trevor, how would you approach this game, and would you make changes from the team that played today to start the game?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm at the stage right now where I have absolutely no clue what Jurgen's going to do on a weekly basis in terms of putting a starting 11 together. That's as frustrating as anything, where you're trying to you're trying to go into the mind of him and be like, all right, this is a perfect spot for player A to get this opportunity, or player B to come back into the lineup. And anytime that we seem to say these things, it doesn't happen, or it just completely gets flipped on its head. So you're trying to really play 6D chess, and you've lost before you even started. The biggest thing I think with Fulham is they're a team that doesn't really have any injuries that I can think of. There's not players that are super banged up, so you can't take advantage of second unit guys. So you kind of just have to play them at their own game. I think you can't just sit back and try to let them counter you all day. Maybe you got to do something to just be like, okay, what can you do with the ball? They don't have a ton of creative midfielders. They have a lot of guys that are bruisers and want to go make a tackle. Make these tacklers make a pass. Maybe that's kind of the key to kind of let them slip on their own banana peel instead of us being the fucking Wile E. Coyote every time. Let another team put themselves in the ground before we bury ourselves. It seems like such a novel concept, but I think Fulham is a team that has consistently just been, all right, we're going to just adapt to what teams are doing. And if it's the other way around, be like, hey, maybe we just adapt to what they're doing and force them to double adapt and inception adapt and have to spin the top and stuff. And Leo DiCaprio will be there, but he won't. In the end, I think you kind of just get out of your own head and don't concede in the first 10 minutes. There we go.
Brian, I'm not going to do score predictions. I think it's becoming almost impossible to decide what way the games are going to go to be able to do that.
Story.
So my question is going to be, given everything, what is your prediction for how the team is going to show up?
I think that,
and I don't mean on a bus.
I
they're all going to be on tandem.
I think that they're going to actually show up and actually play a decent match. I think they'll show up and play a decent match. I think that this Fulham side still has still has a little bit to play for, not as much as we would think that they would, because they still have a chance to get into conference, I believe, right there with where they're at. So they're still playing for Europe too. So it just depends on I don't know. It just depends on what the motivation is right there. And I think that these guys should be motivated. And, but I'm not there in the locker room. I don't see what happens. I don't know what's going behind the scenes. You know, that's but they're professionals, and I just want professional performance. That's all I really want. You know, I mean, I haven't really seen that for a couple weeks now, and I see us play in spurts, and then go back, and then it turns into just nothing. There's no cohesion. I mean, we're not forward. There's no forward movement. I mean, I just want professional performance right there. If we get anything out of this match, I'll be happy at the moment.
Trevor, how do you think we're going to show up? Is it going to be what Brian says? Is it going to be maybe a heart to heart, and then we come out all guns blazing for the last few games? Start with Fulham, or will we say all that stuff and then? Well, the juice just popped in. Will we say all that stuff and then we will? He is the Magic Prince after all. We'll say all these things and then we'll be in the Discord channel 10 minutes in, 1-0 down, and be gone. What are we doing this for? Which way do you think it'll go?
Yeah, I don't have a pulse on this anymore. I thought that everything like, all right, this is the week. This is the team that is going to kind of be that fulcrum where you're going, okay, now we're out of this funk. And yeah, I don't see anything in terms of that positive spark. I want this to be the game where you kind of just not necessarily throw caution to the wind, but you kind of just, yeah, you and it's something that I've seen heard a lot of things like, just act like you're having fun again. Everybody on this team looks fucking miserable right now. And I get, because of the circumstances, everybody has times where you're at a thing and you're just going through the motions. But this was supposed to be like this dramatic grand send-off for Jurgen Klopp. And now everybody just seems like they're going to a birthday party for Janet in accounting, and they've never talked to her and they don't care. And I really just, I hope that, given the lifeline that Aston Villa gave us this past weekend, that we don't take that for granted and go, hey, 2 points with the games that City has and the thing. Yeah, City can do all their magical, we don't lose a game for 4.5 fucking years, whatever type of deal. But Arsenal is going to fall apart. And you can have that little bit of hope. And yeah, I know the hope that kills you, blah, 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 blah. But there's still so much to look forward to, that I hope that the players realize that. That is my biggest hope, is that the players realize that, yeah, for everything that's gone wrong in these past 3 weeks, there's still a 2-point gap between that light at the end of the tunnel. And if you just grasp it and don't just be like, oh, woe's me, and fucking ER your way to the end of the season, maybe, just maybe, you can give Jurgen Klopp the send-off that he fucking deserves.
Yeah, it's not the hope that's going to kill me. It's going to be the cholesterol. I think everybody knows that at this point. So with that, with that said, we will wrap things up here. The Premier League Fantasy Show will be on immediately with the Polish Prince, all by himself, and Gay crashing his own party this time.
Just Captain Cole Palmer every week now.
Yeah, that's true. And we should Gay crash his show.
Not this weekend.
Just before now. But there will be an announcement. There's no morning coffee tomorrow from Reckless. They're all drinking tea, apparently, so they'll be all asleep. But make sure that you are following us on the YouTube and following us on the Facebook and the Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, formerly known as Prince, formerly known as Jor-El. Or whatever you're having yourself. And then also our Patreon. Join us on our Patreon, get access and get all the fantastic extra content that you don't get for free on YouTube and on Facebook and on all the other social medias. But it just remains to say, I mean, it's disappointing, but if we can give as Trevor says, Jurgen Klopp, the best send-off possible, i.e. the league title. I will happily forgo the FA Cup and the Europa League to do that. And I think probably most Liverpool fans would agree, except possibly Saidu, who won't be happy until we play 4-2-3-1. So
he
Brian,
won't be happy until we throw like Curtis Jones in an alley.
Does he agree on anything?
I don't think so. Didn't even agree with himself.
We're gonna have to sacrifice Curtis Jones to like Midsummer or some shit.
Something like that. Something like that. So have a good weekend. We will, I'm sure, see everybody for a pre-match and a post-match on Sunday for the Fulham game. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your Lions if you get them. I certainly don't, and neither does Brian, and neither does Trevor. That's why we do Thursday nights. Have a good one. Peace out. And there's probably no better time, I think, for the power music. So here we go.